right?
When I was talking to Chick, I was like, Chick, like, what's her name? And he was telling me name, but she goes by Tattoo Baby. So when he and I talk about you, he even refers to you as Tattoo Baby.
Yeah, whenever I'm doing anything. So yeah, it started just like that, like for, business
Mm-hmm.
and social media platform. Um Everybody still always has called me Cat, but whenever you refer to like my go check out my work, they knew that my
Yeah.
socials were named Tattoo Baby.
Right.
Then it wasn't when I was on the show Ink Master, and they were like going through some names and I was like, well, they asked me, do you have a nickname? I'm like, well, on my socials I use Tattoo Baby. They loved it.
Loved
They
it.
were like, that's it. That's what we're gonna stay calling you. So it
So
grew
stay
from
there.
there.
Stay there with Ink Masters. Second season you placed third. You placed
Third.
third.
No. Second season I placed in fourth, and then I went back for season three, and
Yep.
I placed in third place.
All
Yeah.
right. So let's go back to the casting call. I assume you had to apply for the show.
hmm
Um, and then like how was the filtering process? How did you know, okay, I might actually end up on this show? How did that go?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, that one went pretty smooth. And I
Okay.
think that's like one thing that I learned now. I'm like, when something's meant to be, it goes smoothly, and when something's not meant to be, there's always just like these like hills and stuff, you have to overcome if you really want to do it. But yeah, that was actually a pretty smooth process for me. I talked with them and I kind of just, you know, let it be and see what happened. And I got called to go. I was pretty excited.
Yeah.
It was a, it was it was a really cool opportunity, but I didn't really know like a lot of what I was getting myself into at the time.
Good. Good segue. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, I was young and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go on this reality TV show, but I'm an adult. I live by myself. I'm grown. I can do whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
And then you arrive to the TV show, and it's a totally different situation. You are co-living. There were 16 contestants on the show,
Okay.
and you co-live in this space, and in the same building was where we would tattoo.
Okay.
So we were only really able to leave the building when we had to go do these certain challenges. So if it was like, or if I want to go buy something from the store, I could not just leave and buy that from the store.
So
You
what did
know,
you have to do?
I mean, they have PAs, which is production assistants,
Okay.
and they do all of that and they help us out. But it was just like a whole new world of filming and everything. And there was a lot of things in the back end that did make it very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Second season, we couldn't have our phones. So that taught me, and whenever I talk about the show, I tell people like I didn't just grow so much artistically, I grew so much as a person.
Okay.
Um, you are taken out of your comfort of your home and you're put on in this completely different environment, and it's like it was definitely the hardest thing I've ever done.
I
Even
can believe
from
it.
even when I gave birth, you know how, first you don't sleep with the baby is a newborn. I was like, this is like easy peasy compared to what I did on the show, because it was hard.
Okay.
Um, when they took your phone away, the the one thing that I learned is like, wow, having the support of your friends and family is so huge. And it's
Mm.
something that I underestimated before. Like, you're
Mm.
having a bad day and you get to go home to your spouse, or, you get to, call your mom or call your friend, and like, have someone to, vent to, make you maybe help you see things in a different perspective, or calm you down, or just support you and tell you, hey, you're going to get through this. When you can't have that phone call and you are doing something that's so challenging, it's so hard. It takes a very big emotional toll on you.
So who did you have to well, then that's not even the question. I suppose you had to lean on the other contestants, right? But how do you lean on the other contestants for emotional support when you're still competing against the other contestants?
I would say you can't really lean on anybody, because
Okay.
you have, at the end of the day, you have contestants, but these people, they're strangers. You're just getting to know each other,
Mm-hmm.
and you're kind of like thrown into like a pit, like as pit bulls, because you have the production is, you know, making sure that they're, you know, they have like their content and they're creating drama. So it's on a regular case, I will never go to my shop and go and critique one of my artists and say, "Oh, you did the worst tattoo today," like, because look at
Right.
those lines and stuff. But you know what you signed up for, and at the end of the day, this is a business, and they have a production team, and they're
Right.
asking you questions. Hey, Tattoo Baby, who did the worst tattoo? And you have to answer, you
You
know,
have to
your
answer.
opinion. Okay, my favorite tattoo of the day was this one. The least favorite was that one.
Right.
And it doesn't feel good when you're the one on the hot seat, when you're sitting there and you're already stressed because you're trying to perform the best that you can, and you're tired and you're hungry, and then now you're in the hot seat and people are critiquing you. You
Right.
know, it's
Right.
yeah, it's one of those things like that made me very emotionally tough going out there.
It I can only imagine. And as I watched a portion of one of the seasons, I believe it may have been when you're invited back for season 3, possibly. You have to correct me if I'm wrong. There was a tattoo that you did that I guess one of the fingers was, they said the finger was out of place. It was like a hand, and maybe the finger was kind of abnormal, whatnot. And I was watching your body language as the judges were critiquing you, and then watching your counterparts also their body language as they're listening to the judges critique you. And the way, at whatever age you were, like you said, you were young, but the way you handled that criticism on TV was kind of like you had your big girl pants on. Like you're like, okay, I can see where you're coming from. I think your response was like, I see it now also, right? As you're
Uh-huh.
telling me, I see it now also. Instead of crawling into a hole, bundling up, feeling sorry for yourself, you're like, you know what? Screw it. I see it. I'll make sure that doesn't happen again. Ultimately,
Absolutely.
ultimately, you ended up winning that challenge. You ended up winning that challenge. So with all these different, I think my last question about Ink Masters was, what was the most difficult task as far as the competition? Like, you have to do this type of tattoo, you have to go to this location and do this type of tattoo. Which one was that stands like, yo, that was hard?
Okay, so the hardest part for Ink Master for me was time. It
Okay.
wasn't just the time to do the tattoo, it's the time to do everything that we had to do on the show. And here, when I go to my shop and I'm working on my own time frame and my own space, my work, there's a huge difference on my performance
Mm-hmm.
compared to now I'm on this TV show. I filmed all day, all this other stuff. I want to rest, but now I got to meet my client, my canvas actually,
Okay.
and I have to create the best design I could possibly do. And here, you know, I'm well rested, I'll catch certain things, but after like 2 weeks and you're just so overwhelmed and exhausted from so much going on, you start missing little things like the
Mm.
finger and this or the feet. And now when I do watch the show, I totally understand when certain people make certain mistakes. It's like the show comes out once a week, but we were filming every day,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
So and not only the tattoo shows, like whenever I see any competition show, I see it in a whole different perspective
Yep.
because I know that it's so challenging.
It's kind of like, and I'm sure you've heard it, it's kind of like when you watch, when I play ball, so I play football. So when I don't watch a football game in the same light as a normal fan would. I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at the game through a different lens, and I'm predicting what can happen. I'm taking in information, I'm processing information to see what could happen, because I've done that for 20 plus years of my life. The way I've done it at a high level. So it comes out differently. So it's hard for me to go to a bar and listen to folks scream and yell at TV. I'm like, yo, that's not how that works. It
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah.
That's not how it happens. That's not necessarily what's going on. But that, I hear exactly what you were saying, and that the way you watch reality TV shows, you kind of know the behind the scenes stuff.
I mean, I feel what you say because I didn't know, you know, barely anything about football before or UFC. And
Mm-hmm.
now with Anthony, he has taught me so much. Like I see things in sports as well in a
Yep.
different perspective. And I still
Absolutely.
don't know everything that he knows. So yeah.
What
Yeah.
about Black Ink Crew? Which Black Ink Crew did you guest appear on?
I did appear. I appeared on Black Ink Crew, the New York
The New York. So you were
show.
there with Caesar.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and which shop?
yeah.
Because that was one I did watch. Which shop did you pop in on?
No, I think it was that they were in town, and I
Okay.
think he wanted to get a tattoo or something.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I have like the memory of a fish,
You're fine. You're fine.
so I have so much that happens. From what I remember, Black Ink Crew, I did an appearance because they were in town, so they were in Miami, and I did a tattoo
Oh.
on
Okay.
Caesar.
Okay.
And then I did another appearance where they were in Puerto Rico, and I got invited to the tattoo convention that they were going to.
Neat.
So that show was a learning experience as well, because uh, uh I did Ink Master, which was very competition based, and
Mm-hmm.
then Black Ink is more reality based. And I saw how like sometimes things can get twisted on TV shows, and people just run with it. I appeared on, I did a guest appearance of Black Ink, and I was excited. I wanted to go to the convention with them, and then when the
Mm-hmm.
show came out, like they made it seem like I went to visit for other reasons, and
Mm-hmm.
it was confusing, but I'm like, you know what, just that's one that was I think that was the first lesson of reality TV show where I learned, I'm like, you have to let just people think what they think.
Okay. Good point. So
Hmm.
going back to the production part, so you're saying that the editing, the editing can make a storyline. They can turn a whole storyline around by how
Oh,
they edit.
1000%.
One thousand
1000%.
percent. Mm.
1000%. Reality TV show, this is how I explain it. Reality drama TV show is like, imagine I write you a 10-page letter,
Okay.
and then you grab that 10-page letter and you grab words from that 10-page letter and create a whole other story that could be only 2 pages. But
Mm.
you can grab those words and piece it together to make it seem something different.
Mm. And you have obviously, I don't know. I keep saying obviously. It's not obvious because I have no idea how it happens. But I would assume you don't see the show until we see the show, right?
We don't see the editing until everybody sees it. So when the episode comes out, we're watching it for the first time.
Have you ever had to explain yourself to a friend, family, significant other, like something came out on TV, they edited in a certain light, and now you're getting looked at like, girl, what the hell? And you're like, that ain't how it happened.
Yeah, I think when I did the Black Ink Crew, I think I said a video where I was like, that's not how it went down, or what I went to do there. And I think other instances as well. That's a battle, because like I said, you have to, just let people think what they think, but
Right.
at the same time, I'm also an advocate of like, you have to speak up for yourself,
Okay.
so it's finding like a balance with that. So sometimes I have, and other times I haven't. Sometimes I
Okay.
let it ride.
Okay. So now we go into Cartel Crew, which you had an extended um primary role, or I don't know what to call it. What do you guys call it? I don't know. You were a lead in Cartel Crew. And you and I spoke off camera and how you came about being on Cartel, or how the show Cartel Crew came about. Can you just explain for the viewers, like, how did that show come about? What were you actually going to cast for? And then they were like, yo, we're going to do this instead.
So Cartel Crew was interesting because when I appeared on Black Ink Crew, I connected with the production team, and I was in the talks with them on doing a tattoo reality show at the Miami shop.
Mm-hmm.
So they came and they shot a pilot at Tildian Tattoos in Miami. But when they were doing the pilot, I had my best friend Stephanie. She was going to be part of the tattoo show. She was going to be, like my best friend. She helped me bring the celebrity clientele and everything. And then I had my artist.
Mm-hmm.
They interview all of us, separately, and they realize, like, scratch the board. This is not a tattoo show. This is something totally else, different, because they grabbed my artist backstory, my best friend's backstory, and then my backstory, and they were just like, wow, this is Cartel Crew,
Right.
actually.
Right.
So at first, my first reaction was like, no way, my family would kill me. Like, my family is not gonna roll with this. Like,
Uh-huh.
this is something that you just don't. The reason why I opened up to production about my past started because I explained to them I've been blessed with two fathers. I have my biological father that was murdered when I was 4 years old, and I have an amazing stepfather that also raised me. That I call him my dad, my father.
Mhm.
So when they asked me how my dad had passed away, it kind of like it's very hard to not be honest, and there's publications and everything. So
Mhm.
my initial reaction was like, no way. Like my mom will be so upset with me. This is something that she buried. She never wants to talk about. Like she
Mhm.
doesn't like it.
Mhm.
Um, but I also like to believe that I like to share my story to motivate other people, because I think that I became who I am because of motivation from the people around me, and that I was being that how successful I became.
Mhm.
So in part of me, I had like, this is something my family doesn't like to talk about, but in other parts, this is the part of my life and my story that made me who I am.